Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a deep dive into Rekor systems.
Yeah.
Ticker symbol REKR. Infrastructure solutions, all that.
Transportation.
Yeah, all that.
Public safety.
Public safety, yeah.
Really interesting stuff.
It is.
A lot of material here.
Yeah, and what I thought was really interesting just looking it over initially was just how much this company is like a surfer. Just riding this massive wave, sometimes on top, sometimes wiping out.
I like that. That's a really good analogy because we have all this material and it's really, it emphasizes this back and forth, the risk and the potential.
Right.
We have some of these news articles that are saying, they're getting these huge contracts, but then you look at the financials and it's not quite adding up. So let's jump in and see if we can figure this out.
All right. So looking at the stock right now, it's sitting at $1.86 a share. Which, okay, fine, whatever. But when you see it's down 72% on the year, and then the 52-week range is from 78 cents to 3.92.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
That is volatile.
It's volatile.
Yeah. If you think about that, that's an average move per week of 11%.
Yeah.
So that means people are kind of on the fence. They see the potential there, but they're also wary about what's going on.
And looking at the financials, I said, okay, revenue is up 16% year over year.
Yeah.
But then looking over the last 12 months, net loss of over $52 million.
Yeah, growing pains.
That's a lot of growing pains.
That's a lot of growing pains, right. So they're expanding, especially their urban mobility segment, which is doing really well. They've gotten some really big contracts like in Texas and Ohio, worth up to $15 million.
Yeah.
But expansion costs money.
Right.
And it seems like they haven't quite, they're working it out as they go.
Yeah, like building the rocket ship while they're flying it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's making some people nervous.
Right.
You're seeing their gross margins decrease, meaning that their profit per every dollar of revenue is going down. And their operating costs are going way up. And they're blaming it on weather, of all things.
Weather.
Had project difficulties.
What? What does that even mean?
Yeah, how does weather affect a tech company?
I don't know. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's a little strange.
Yeah.
And then, we see that analysts have really slashed those revenue expectations for 2025. They went from 83.9 million down to 64.5.
Wow, that's a big drop.
Yeah.
Analysts, though, they're paid to be a little skeptical.
Yeah.
So they're looking for that proof.
Yeah.
They want to see, okay, you have the potential, but can you turn that into profit? And right now, it's not super clear they're getting those contracts.
Yeah.
But they're losing money.
Right. So the financials tell one story. Often, charts tell a very different story. So looking at some of these technical indicators, what are we seeing?
The first thing I noticed was that there was a massive volume spike on December 30th.
Oh, wow.
73 million shares traded that day.
Wow. Versus their average of 1.35 million.
That's a lot.
So something happened that day that made people go, ooh, we need to pay attention to this.
So what was it, some big contract or, I don't know.
Maybe, but we also have to look at that in the context of the other indicators.
Okay.
So both the 50-day and the 200-day moving average are above the current price, which is typically a bearish signal. So it's suggesting that maybe the trend is still down.
Right. So mixed signals then. We've got big volume, but then the moving averages say, hold on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of a tug of war, right? And then the Manchi D is negative, but it's kind of hinting at maybe swinging up.
Okay.
So it's like the market is saying, we're watching you, Rekor.
Right. Yeah.
Show us what you got.
So as an investor, buy, sell, or hold at this point?
I'd say hold. I wouldn't go all in, but I wouldn't completely count them out either. I'd be watching for a break above $2. That would be a sign that people are getting excited. Or on the other side, if it breaks below that recent support, that would be a sign to maybe get out.
Right. Okay, so we've got the financials. They're a little iffy. We've got technicals that are mixed. But there's a company behind all of this, right? What's the story that they're trying to tell?
So they're really trying to position themselves as this innovator, a pioneer even, in these AI-driven solutions for infrastructure, which that story is pretty compelling. Think about it. You're not just putting up cameras and sensors, but you're using AI and machine learning to look at that data in real time.
Yeah.
And you can use that to make our roads safer, our cities smarter, our infrastructure more efficient.
So they're not just selling products, they're selling like a smarter future.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's what's really creating the buzz, because there is this demand for data-driven solutions that can actually solve problems. But can they execute on this vision?
Right. Well, they made a couple of strategic moves, like bringing in this new EVP, Rishmal Hotra. Global strategic growth, he seems like he's got a ton of experience in this stuff.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
So that seems positive.
His experience lines up really well with what Rekor does.
Right.
But leadership alone isn't enough.
Right.
They're also trying to do these cost optimization initiatives. They're aiming for $15 million a year in cuts.
Okay.
But whether that's enough, I don't know.
Right. So they're taking steps, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. So how does this all fit into what's going on in the overall market?
I think that's a really important piece to this whole story, and I think we should dig into that a little bit more after a quick break.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
We were talking about the market as a whole and how that plays into this. One thing that I noticed is that they didn't seem to benefit from that Santa Claus rally. You know, that pushed stocks higher in December.
Right. Yeah. Everyone loves a Santa Claus rally, but they didn't get any presents. So
Yeah, it could be that investors are just so focused on, you know, those problems with the company, like the margin shrinking, costs going up, and those project difficulties. Even Santa can't fix those problems overnight.
Right. Right.
So I think maybe they're saying, yeah, okay, the market's great, but we need to see you guys fix your problems before we jump in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I think that goes back to those cost-cutting measures. If they can show that they're really serious about fixing their finances, that could get people to, you know, have more confidence in them.
Okay. So even if they do manage to get those costs under control, they're still in a really competitive market. So what makes Rekor different? What's their advantage?
So what's interesting is they're not just doing the same old infrastructure stuff. They're using AI and machine learning to make everything smarter and more effective.
Okay, but can you give me an example?
Sure. So let's think about traffic.
Yeah.
That's always a problem in cities. You have cameras, you have sensors collecting all this information, but a lot of times it's not being used.
Right.
So Rekor's system, it brings all that data together, uses AI to look at it in real time, and it can give people who plan cities actual useful information.
Yeah.
So you can imagine optimizing how traffic flows, cutting down on congestion, making things safer, all thanks to AI.
So they're putting all that data to work.
Right, exactly. And it's not just traffic. They're using this for public safety, tolls, even watching how much pollution cars make. So it's like they're creating a digital copy of the real world.
Okay.
So you can analyze and improve things in a much deeper way.
I'm starting to see why people are excited about them. It sounds like they're pushing the limits in this area.
Yeah, they are. And that's what makes them so interesting to watch. Can they take this technology and turn it into something real? Can they fix their money problems and become a leader?
Those are the big questions. Let's talk about the people running the company. We mentioned that new EVP, Rish Malhotra. Anyone else we should know about?
So they have a pretty young management team, which can be good and bad.
Yeah.
On the one hand, they have new ideas. They're not afraid of new tech.
Right.
But maybe they don't have as much experience as some other people, you know? So it's a bit of a gamble for investors. They're betting on potential, but no guarantees.
Right, right.
So it's not just about the technology or the market. You have to look at the people in charge, too. Can they make the hard choices? Can they handle the problems that come with growing so fast?
Yeah, yeah. All right, so we've looked at their financials, their tech, the management, and how the market affects them. Sounds like they're at a turning point. They could take off, or it could all fall apart.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And that's why they're so interesting. There's so much potential, but also so much risk. I think we should go deeper into that after a quick break.
All right, so we've spent some time with Rekor Systems. They're riding this wave of AI and infrastructure, but there are some big challenges. It really does feel like they're walking this tightrope, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Will they make it or will they fall?
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting. It's not an easy answer. There's a lot to think about before you can really judge them. We've gone through the numbers, the technology, even the management. But let's talk about the big thing everyone's worried about, the risks.
Right, because every investment has some risk. And it seems like maybe Rekor has a little more than usual. What are the things that worry you the most?
Well, the first thing is definitely their financial situation. They're losing money, their margins are getting smaller. Those aren't problems you can just fix quickly.
Right.
They have to show they can control costs and start making a profit, or investors are going to move on.
Yeah, it's like they built this amazing car, but they forgot to figure out how to, like, put gas in it.
Exactly. And then there's the competition. Rekor's not the only one doing this stuff. There are some big companies out there with lots of money and experience.
Right.
Can Rekor actually stand out and build a real business?
So they need to show they're not just a fad, that they can beat the big guys in the long run.
Exactly. And then there's the whole question of execution. They have big plans, but can they actually make them happen?
Right.
Can they grow their business, handle these big projects, and get their technology out there? There are a lot of ways it could go wrong.
Yeah, and we keep coming back to those project difficulties they mentioned. It just feels like there's something they're not telling us. And that makes people nervous.
Definitely. Especially for a company that's still growing, investors need to trust that the management is being honest about the problems and that they have a plan to fix them.
Right.
If it seems like they're hiding things, people will lose faith and run away.
Okay, so there are real risks. But we've also talked about this huge potential upside. Rekor's on the cutting edge of this whole technological shift, and they're trying to solve a problem that everyone has. If they can make this work, the rewards could be enormous.
Totally. Think about it. Cities that are actually smart, traffic that flows smoothly, infrastructure that takes care of itself, all because of AI. Rekor could be a big part of making that happen.
So it's high risk, but maybe high reward too.
Yeah,
Investors have to decide if that potential reward is worth the chance of losing everything.
that's what investing is all about, right? Figuring out the risks, seeing the potential, and making smart choices. And that's what we've tried to do here. We've given you the info, the insights, the different sides of the story, so you can make your own informed decision about Rekor systems.
We looked at the financials, the technology, the management team, the competition, and the risks. Now it's up to you, the listener, to decide if this is a company you want to bet on.
Remember, investing is personal. There's no one right answer. What matters is that you do your research, understand the risks, and make choices that work for you.
Yeah, and if there's one thing we want you to take away from this, it's to be curious, keep asking questions, and never stop learning. Investing is always changing. There's always something new to find out.
That's what we love about doing this, exploring these companies, sharing what we learn, and helping you make smart choices.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep digging deeper, and may all your investments be profitable.
Good luck out there.